Jason's Adventures, Land of the Dinosaurs. Jason was at school. Today the teacher was telling them about prehistoric times. Jason thought the dinosaurs looked very scary. They had names which were very hard to say and impossible to spell. The picture on the screen was a very small bird. Although it was very small, it had a very long name. His teacher said, "You can spell most words by breaking them down into small bits." This bird was called a Gynphengopteryx, and his teacher had tried to get him to say it by breaking it down to Gyn, Fen, Gop, Ter, Ix. Jason had managed to say this okay, but he wouldn't want to try to spell it. It was a warm day, and Jason was a little bored with the lesson. His eyes began to close, and the room seemed to be spinning around him. When he opened his eyes, he was amazed to find he was no longer in his class, but in a strange-looking place. He was surrounded by very tall trees which looked like palm trees, and there were huge rocks everywhere. Steam was pouring from the ground, and he could hear frightening roaring noise all around him. Jason had gone back in time, back to the land of the dinosaurs. It was very scary, and Jason saw a huge dinosaur coming close to him. He had seen this in class and tried to remember the name, Diplodocus. Jason remembered that this did not eat meat, but he was still scared as it was very, very big. Jason wondered if there were any cave people around when suddenly a figure came towards him. It was a caveman. Jason was scared at first, but the caveman came up to him and did not seem to want to hurt him. He just felt at his clothes and kept saying, "Ugh, ugh." Jason just said, "Ugh, ugh," back. The caveman beckoned Jason to follow him, and they set off across the rocks. He stopped suddenly and said, "Ugh," and pulled Jason to the ground so they could hide. When Jason looked up, he could see why they were hiding. The caveman had seen a T-Rex. This was the king of all dinosaurs and would definitely eat them. It was ages before it went away, and then Jason and the caveman continued through the trees. They came to a cave where the caveman's mate was waiting with some food. He said, "Ugh," to Jason, and Jason said, "Ugh," back. The caveman had caught a small bird, and as his mate took all the feathers off, he rubbed some sticks together to make a fire. When the bird was cooked, he offered some to Jason, but he didn't like the look of it and shook his head. As he sat near the cave, he heard a loud screeching and looked up to see the biggest bird he had ever seen. It was a Quetzalcoatlus. Jason had seen a picture of this in a book, but hadn't realized it was so big. The caveman took Jason's arm and led him away. They were going hunting for food. As they were walking back to the cave, he heard a loud thundering noise, and to his horror, he saw 3 large dinosaurs running towards them. They were velociraptors. Velociraptors. Jason and the caveman ran as fast as they could, but they saw them and started to chase after them. The velociraptors were very fast and were catching up with them when he tripped over a branch and fell to the ground. Jason was terrified as they came closer and closer. He screamed in terror, "No, don't eat me, go away!" He seemed to feel himself fainting, but then he felt his shoulder being shaken, and his teacher saying, "Wake up, Jason, you fell asleep and shouted out." The rest of the class were all laughing, and Jason felt quite embarrassed, but really relieved that it had only been a dream. The end.